hot take of the women's tournament. Baylor isn't going to make it out of the first round. And here's why.
Welcome to Her Sports Convo with Ashleigh Wilson.
Hey y'all, welcome back. Crazy to see you here again. I hope you had a good week last week. I hope you have a good week this week. Happy March Madness. The men's tournaments were absolutely insane. The women's tournaments last week in the conference finals were absolutely insane, and I'm excited just to finally get this ball rolling. Now, if the audio sounds just a little bit off, I'm sorry. I forgot my microphone as I'm on spring break and I was not bringing a whole lot of things with me. So hopefully our usual main channel video setup can get the job done for us, and if not, I'm sorry. Come back next week if you would like to hear better audio. That's all I got to say. But getting into the nooks and cranny of the men's and women's tournaments, this week's podcast episode, I decided we're going to do not a deep dive because I don't understand bracketology for one thing, and two, why is it a thing? I'm just going to tell you who I think my upsets and my crazy picks are, and then we're going to get into other things that happened this week that pure my curious. On the men's side, I feel like the way that they set up the bracket, it allows for more teams to get themselves to the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, even the Final Four, because they stacked a lot of big teams in the same conference. Now, obviously, they do this all the time as they have to have a 1 from 16 seed in all 4 regions. But this year, I feel like they did it a little different as they have UNC, Kentucky, and UCLA in the same region. And that's why I think Arizona could possibly win the tournament this year. Now, I know some of you are looking at me like I'm crazy, and I get it. I probably am. But given the fact they're all by themselves in the South region, like they have no, again, I'm not saying they don't have no big competition. They have Seton Hall, TCU, Houston, but like when you look at the grand scheme, other than like Tennessee and Villanova, that's really their biggest like competitors to make it out. Aside from Loyola Chicago, who can make a deep push, and like a Colorado State on a big Cinderella story kind of journey, they don't have any real like competition in their bracket. So they should have the easiest route to the Final Four out of all the other seeds. Not just 1 seeds, 2 seeds, 3 seeds, but they truly have the easiest route to get there. Now, I think on the opposite side of the bracket, in the East, the West, and whatever the other one is, the Midwest or something like that, I think those teams have the hardest route, as I feel like they put majority of the could be Cinderella stories, could be, you know, number 1 seeds who can make it all the way through. I feel like they really stack those other 3 very heavy. Most of my big upsets I think are going to happen are going to be in the first round, because as we saw in the conference tournament, a lot of these big name 1 seeds now going to be in the tournament 4 to 3 seed teams kind of overlooked a lot of other teams. 1, forgetting that the eyes of March are upon us. 2, given the fact that these kids and these teams are literally playing for their lives. Like, this is the last time, if not all, but majority of the people playing in this tournament are going to play basketball competitively on this kind of stage for the last time. And so I feel like they think, oh, because we're Kentucky, oh, because we're Illinois, oh, because we're Wisconsin, think these teams are just going to sit down and allow them to just run them over in the tournament just because they're a number 1 seed. And like, that's not the thing, as a lot of teams from UCLA to Illinois, Wisconsin, Duke, UNC, like all these teams forget that you got to be logged in every single day in March. Every day counts, every game counts. You can't overlook teams and just look to, you know, you think your next opponent is going to be, because no day is guaranteed any day of the year at anything, but especially in March when the craziness is upon us. So that's why I chose Arizona, and I think a lot of big upsets are going to come, as I have like, okay, call me crazy, I get it, call me crazy, but I have North Mexico State beating UConn. Now, talking about UConn, did any of y'all happen to watch them in the Big East tournament? Now, yes, they lost to Seton Hall. Was it Seton Hall or was it Creighton? I don't know. I don't really remember. But did you see those jokers' braids? Like, oh my gosh, I hope I can find a photo I hope I can find a photo to show you guys. Their braids looked like the Tyler Perry family reunion braid wigs. Like, it was bad. So I pray to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ that they can figure that out before they go up here on the tournament. And, like, the entire world is going to be seeing them in 4K for the next 3 weeks. Like, it was bad. It was so bad. But back talking about the bracketology part, I just think, like, they're not locked in. Like, honestly, the Arkansas-Vermont thing, I chose Arkansas, but I feel like Vermont can really beat them. Like, there's just so many possibilities, as there is every year. Like, I'm not being a genius about this whole, anything can happen situation, but I just feel like this year is the year where more can happen than usual. Now, I don't think a 16 seed is going to lose to a 1 seed this year. Looking at you, Virginia. I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen this year, but I feel like a lot of 4 and 12s or a lot of 5, is it 4 and 12 or 4 and 11? Something like that. Yeah, a lot of 4 and 11s or 5 and 12 or a lot of, 6 and whatevers. I feel like those are going to happen more than usual this year because those teams are going to be looking elsewhere, because a lot of these teams who came from mid-majors, like, one, I'm a personal believer that if you can not only go undefeated, but win a mid-major championship in these leagues, that your entire conference gets one bid in this tournament, no matter what. And if you can manage to make it out, I feel like these teams are doing it. Not in the way as Virginia Tech, congratulations to you for winning the ACC championship by beating you-know-who, but you did it in a way that I felt like you used all your March magic. Because personally, I believe that in March, you are given, like, everyone is given a cup of March Madness. And some people have to, pour the whole cup out to even get to the NCAA tournament, which is fine, which I think Virginia Tech did in their case. But some people still have all of it or most of it still left by the time the tournament comes. Now, some people can use the whole cup in one game. Some people can use the whole cup in one weekend. Or some people manage to spread the whole cup out the whole entire tournament and win the whole thing. I.e. Baylor last year. But I feel like some people have to use that cup to get to the tournament. Some people don't have to use that cup. And for a lot of these mid-majors, I felt like they did not have to use that whole cup of magic to make it to the tournament. Now, our homies in Chattanooga, who won on that absolutely wild half-court shot, they used that cup. They used, if not all of it, majority of it, to make it to the tournament. But other teams, I don't really feel like that happened a lot this year. So a lot of teams could make very big runs. So if you're a top seed, you're a bottom seed, especially on the men's side, like, you got to be locked in every game, every week, because everybody's coming for you more than this year, than last year. Pretty sure even every year ahead of that, because it's going to be wild. It's going to be chaos. Just like Coach K's retirement tour, because you play that whole thing and your kids still didn't manage to win you the ACC tournament championship. That's sad for you. I'm over it now. We're going to move on. But over to the women's side. Now, on that side of the bracket, I feel like the talent was pretty much evenly spread out. I don't feel like it was evenly spread out in the way that, all the 1 seeds are going to make it to the tournament, because I don't think that's going to happen this year like it's happened in a lot of previous years. But I feel like it's evenly spread out to allow for every single round to have a significant impact and a lot of people win. For one reason, I think, South Carolina's going to win it all. Yes, I'm a Dawn Staley fangirl to be more exact, and I think they could win it all. But I have them winning it all because, one, they're in the Greensboro region, and I feel like given the entire landscape of the region, I don't see anybody really coming out of that region making a big push for them, except for Iowa and Iowa State. But Iowa and Iowa State are going to have to play each other before they even get to South Carolina, which I feel is going to run both of them down, because if they, make it to each other, that game's going to be an actual war. So by the time they get to South Carolina, if South Carolina makes it that far, they're going to be dog tired, and they're not going to have enough energy to have to fight in the post against Aaliyah Boston and all those in no, her name's not Aaliyah Henderson, but the Henderson girl, I can never think of her first name, to fight her in the backcourt. Like, it's just going to be too much for them to overcome that, having possibly played Iowa State in the game before. And on my bracket in the Wichita sector of the thing, I have most of my upsets being in there, and that's the one Louisville is in. And NC State? Nope, NC State is in their own. That's the one Louisville and Baylor are in, which I think they're both not going to make it that far. Well, I have Louisville in the Final Four, I think. No, I don't. Yes, I have Louisville in the Final Four. Can you tell I made this yesterday afternoon? I have Louisville in the Final Four, but I think they're going to be given a hard time because LSU is also in that region. And LSU, like, I feel like they could actually make a deep run this year. Like, you have Kim Mulkey as their head coach now, and like, I've personally never seen a program turn around that fast in the short amount of time. Like, maybe I want whatever she's selling to these girls. Maybe that can give me enough encouragement to keep going and possibly make a goal that's absolutely bonkers, especially in the SEC. Like it's, we all know who else is in the SEC. I feel like they got a lot of talent on their team, and they're buying in so fast, and get a buy-in in college sports or any sports league from a coach is insane. But the fact that they bought in like a few weeks is actually ridiculous. So I think LSU can make a big push. I'd only have them going to the Sweet 16 or Elite 8, I think. But I do have them beating Stanford. And I have them beating Stanford solely because the buy-in in which they have from Dawn Staley, the buy-in that they have from Kim Mulkey. But I do think that I could be wrong in that because Stanford really hasn't had to expel a lot of energy to win a lot of games this year, if that makes sense. Like, not saying they've had a lot of layups this year, but they've had more layups than most other teams in this tournament, especially in this bracket. My hot take of the women's tournament, Baylor isn't going to make it out of the first round. And here's why. I think Baylor is going to be still caught up of losing that Big 12 championship to Texas to really focus in and really tune into what Ole Miss is, because even though Ole Miss is, not really high on the totem pole, they're not really ranked this high this year or haven't been ranked that much this year, Ole Miss has really been out here grinding, and they've really been beating teams and or competing against very high level teams in the SEC and within college basketball in general that I feel like a lot of people haven't been looking their way. So again, like I said on the men's side, I feel like they're not going to be locked in, and they think Ole Miss is going to be a layup. Now, again, I'm probably going to be very wrong about this, but that's just my feeling and my intuition when it comes to the women's side. My last hot take of the women's tournament, I think, is going to be that because this year, like, the regular season has so many upsets and wild, crazy moments that I don't think the women's tournament is going to have a lot of buzzer beaters per se. I think they're going to have a lot of, oh my God, I thought this team was going to run them out of the gym, which in turn, it happened to be that other team winning by 10 or 15 points. Hopefully, I see a lot of buzzer beaters. I like buzzer beaters as much as the next gal. Probably the next guy, too. But I just don't see that happening in this year's women's tournament. I feel like they're going to be very strong, one-sided games. Some could be, really wars and dogfights, as I feel like that Ole Miss Baylor game is going to be. If UConn and NC State end up playing each other, that's going to be Iowa State. I feel like there's going to be a lot of wars and a lot of dogfights. But I don't feel like we're going to get a lot of buzzer beaters. Again, it's March. I'm, probably going to be wrong about every single thing I've said about the men's and the women's tournament in the past 10, 15, 20 minutes. I don't know how long it's going to be. But I just have a feeling I'm not. Well, now that we're done with the tournament, the other absolutely crazy news that came out on Sunday was that Tom Brady is back. I saw it coming because I don't think Tom Brady was the kind of guy to just walk out after losing not even in the Super Bowl. Like, maybe he would have retired if he lost in the Super Bowl, but he didn't make it to the Super Bowl. And he didn't even make it to the NFC Championship. So I didn't see it coming. The fact he only made it 3 months is actually hilarious, because truly I felt like he went to like 3 dance recitals and 1 baseball practice and said, this is not the life for me. He was like, no thank you, dog. This is not the life for me. I'd rather go get ran around by a whole bunch of grown men than have to sit in the parent pickup line. Which, doesn't sound fun to me either, Tom. So kudos to you, and great for the Bucks. Personally, I also feel like I saw this coming because the Bucks were never out here looking for a quarterback. You know what I mean? They weren't making the steps and doing the things in which someone would do if they knew the leader of their team wasn't coming back. Like, they were just out here vibing, not saying anything, not even like on the trade route, not even for a quarterback, but just for wide receivers and defensive end. And they just really weren't out here looking and playing in the game and talking about trading or anything to refigure their team. So that's why I personally was not shocked, because they weren't making moves like everyone else was making moves to restructure their team, because, you know, I feel like personally they have a team in which they can win a championship with, as they like signed all their guys back from when they won the Super Bowl last time for the 2021 to the 2024 season or something like that. So good luck to you, Tom, in year 23, I think it is. And the fact that he said that LeBron was the person who convinced him to come back after having his 50-point game the other week shows the world, and personally me, that we're going to have Tom Brady as long as we have LeBron James, and we're probably going to have LeBron James as long as we have Tom Brady playing. So buckle up, kids, because it's going to be a while before we get rid of Tom. And to the guy who bought that like $500,000 last touchdown ball, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for you. That's a hard way to deal with your Sunday. But I do have to give a shout out to Kevin Garnett, as, you know, they retired his jersey, and he thanked Ryan Allen, and he thanked Ray Allen for being there, and they hugged each other. That's cute. Let bygones be bygones. You can't hold grudges for other kids. As well as, I haven't seen someone milk a championship as hard as the 2008 Boston Celtics milked their championship. Like, it's annoying at this point. Like, you would have thought they won like 3, 4, 5 in a row. That team did. They just won the single one in 2008 with Kendrick Perkins, Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and Big Baby Davis. Like, they milk it so hard, and they milked it even harder on Sunday when they retired KG's jersey, which is a great accomplishment, as KG is a special man. And when he went there, you know, he was just coming off, you know, Minnesota and all the things that were happening with there. And so the fact that the city took him in, giving that city's history toward people, that it worked out for him in his best interest, which I give him great kudos for and congratulations. But yeah, 2008 Celtics, we really got to let this one go. Like, y'all have been milking that harder than a farmer makes a cow. Like, this is getting ridiculous. But that is all I have for this week's episode. Make sure to like, comment, rate, subscribe wherever you're deciding to listen to the podcast today. Head on over to Instagram and follow at Her Sports Convo to stay up to date on all things Her Sports Convo, as well as check out the Her Sports Convo main channel, as I post new videos up there every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the video that went up this week was a behind the scenes of what it's like to go to a Carolina basketball game with a UNC student, as I took you guys to the senior night game like the last week of February, and go behind the scenes, all that fun stuff. So make sure to check that out on the main channel, as well as check out the Her Sports Convo podcast channel, where you can watch me talk to myself every single Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you're tapped into the NCAA tournament. Let me know in the DMs on Instagram or the comments if you're watching on YouTube, who do you think is going to win the men's and women's national championship this year, because this bus is rolling down the street, and I'm excited to see where it goes. And as always, be safe, have fun, and don't be afraid to join the convo.